Have you ever read a fanfic so dramatic, so unrealistic, and so emotionally chaotic that you couldn't stop reading? Now imagine that fanfic becomes a classic, required in every classroom, quoted at weddings, taught as the greatest love story of all time. Yeah, that's Romeo and Juliet. Today, let's talk about how Romeo and Juliet is basically the original fan fiction and how Shakespeare low-key created the blueprint for modern storytelling, whether he knew it or not. And tell me honestly, what's the most over-the-top love story you've read recently? Book, fanfic, whatever. Because I promise you, Shakespeare did it first. So here's the tea. Romeo and Juliet wasn't even an original story. Shakespeare didn't sit in candlelight and think, let me invent two doomed lovers. Nope. The story already existed in poems and novellas from Italy, especially Arthur Brooks' poem, The Tragical History of Romeo and Juliet. Shakespeare just looked at that and said, okay, but what if I made it extra? He made the characters younger, the romance faster, and the drama louder. Juliet is 13. Romeo falls for her right after being heartbroken over another girl. They meet, fall in love, get married, and die, all in 3 days. That's not plot development, that's fan fiction pacing. You know those Wattpad stories where it's like, she bumped into him in the hallway and now she's pregnant with his secret billionaire vampire baby? It's giving that. It's giving 0 to 100 real quick. But instead of billionaire vampire, it's enemy family, dramatic sword fights, and a priest with a sketchy plan. And honestly, that's why it works. Fan fiction has always thrived on emotion, fantasy, and exaggeration. Shakespeare just did it in poetic iambic pentameter. The thing is, fan fiction isn't new. We've been retelling stories since the beginning of storytelling. Myths, legends, religious texts, oral tales, all were passed down, tweaked, and reimagined. Fanfic is just the modern name for a timeless tradition. Shakespeare was writing for his version of the internet, the theater crowd. He knew what people liked: love, betrayal, tragedy, drama, conflict. He adapted, remixed, and delivered. If he were alive today, he'd 100% be on AO3 writing a 300K word enemies to lovers slow burn. And let's talk about the tropes, because Romeo and Juliet is packed with classic fanfic energy. Forbidden love? Check. Love at first sight? Absolutely. Secret marriage? Miscommunication that causes death? You already know. Overprotective parents? Reckless decisions and chaos? All of it. Even the side characters have big fanfic vibes. Mercutio? Pure chaotic best friend energy. The nurse? Comic relief and emotional support in one. Tybalt? That angsty cousin who always starts fights. These are the characters you'd see tagged under major character death, angst with a hint of fluff, and bad decisions everywhere. But the impact didn't stop in the 1600s. Romeo and Juliet shaped pop culture in ways we don't even notice anymore. Think about West Side Story, Romeo and Juliet, High School Musical, kinda. Even Twilight, The Fault in Our Stars, and The Hunger Games, they all have echoes of this love and chaos formula. Taylor Swift wrote Love Story as a literal modern-day Juliet anthem. And how many fanfics are out there right now with a plot like, they weren't supposed to fall in love, but they did? Romeo and Juliet gave us the idea that love can be messy, tragic, reckless, but still beautiful. And fan fiction continues that legacy every single day. Let's be real, the story isn't realistic. Most people today would be like, girl, you just met him at a party. Take a deep breath. But we don't read stories like this to see realism. We read them to feel something. And that's exactly what Shakespeare delivered. Raw, dramatic, all-consuming emotion. So maybe it's time we stop making fun of fan fiction and start appreciating it as what it really is. A space for bold imagination, emotional truth, and retelling stories the way we wish they were told. Because Shakespeare wasn't writing for critics. He was writing for the people. Just like fanfic authors do. So tell me, do you think Romeo and Juliet is the greatest love story ever told? Or just the most dramatic breakup in literary history? Let's talk about it in the comments. And hey, if Shakespeare were alive today, what fandom do you think he'd be writing for? Because I feel like he'd be deep into Game of Thrones fanfic with messy love triangles and sudden deaths every other chapter. If you think Romeo and Juliet was wild, wait till we unpack Wuthering Heights next. Literal slow burn enemies to lovers fanfic written by a sad girl in a haunted house. But hey, I want to hear from you too. What classic do you want me to expose next? Drop it in the comments. And if you like this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more juicy deep dives that make literature actually fun again. You won't want to miss what's coming next.